Welcome back to the BMF YouTube channel. Today we're going to start a series with Micrologix and go over some training that will help you in the field. Right here we've got a Micrologix 1000, and then we also have a Micrologix 1400 right here. And we are going to focus on communications for our first lesson. So we're going to talk about how to upload from a processor, how to connect to the processor, basically how to do that with this guy and this guy. So we'll go over DH485 communications, if I can get this open, RS232, and then we're also going to talk about Ethernet. The first thing we're going to talk about is what you need to communicate with them. And this is all of the cables that I've got that will talk to any Micrologix that I have found in the field. There are some different revs on cables, so you do have to be kind of cautious of that, but these will get you what you need. We'll talk about these first. This guy is a DB9 cable on both ends. So this would be for that communication port. It's going to be your RS232. And your cable number, it's right there. It's a 1747 CP3. These will work for your slick PLCs also. Then we've got this guy here. This has got your little programming end on it there. I don't know what the cable is called, or that end is called. This is a PC to Micrologix comms cable. Where's our CAT number? 1761 CBL PM02 Series C. There are some series of these that I found that won't work with some older ones. I think I ran into a Series A cable that a customer had that wouldn't work, so just kind of be cautious of that. Sometimes those can cause issues. And then this is our serial adapter. This is an Allen Bradley part number. This is our 9300 USB-S Rev 3. These can go bad over time. I've had this one for probably 5 or 6 years, and every so often you'll have to replace these because they just get worn out if you use them a lot. And then we've got our Ethernet cable, and then this is just our USB-C to Ethernet cable that we use for this laptop because it doesn't have an Ethernet port. First up is our Micrologix 1000. This one should have a program on it. This is a spare PLC that was made for something else. Or that was programmed for something else. So we're going to use this terminal here along with this guy here. So we're going to get our cable set up, and then the first thing we're going to do is go over to our computer where we've got RS Links Classic already open. So we've got our cable connected to the PLC, and then we've also got it connected into our computer. The first step is to know which COM port this is, and the COM port is assigned based off of your device or your cable, not based off of the port here. You can have hundreds of different COM ports, and your computer assigns that. So we're going to go to our computer, and in our search box down here, we're going to type in Device Manager and pull that up. You can see Device Manager pops up, so we're going to click on that. And then in this section over here, we're going to go to the ports, COM and LPT. We're going to expand that. And then you can see right there, there's our cable. So it is COM 3. So what we're going to do is unplug our cable and then see if that goes away. That way we know which one it is. So you can see it refreshes your list, and the COM ports and LPT are not even shown there because you don't have anything plugged in. So we're going to plug that back in. Now we know that is indeed the one we're looking for. There we go. COM 3 it is. Now we're going to close Device Manager. We don't need this anymore. And we are going to move back to RS Links Classic. The first thing we've got to do is set up a driver to talk to this. So we're going to go up to Communications, and then we're going to go to Configure Drivers. Now the cable that we're using is a DF1 cable. You can see we've got a couple of conflicts there because those ports use similar cables. So what we're going to do is delete those two drivers that have COM port configuration. We're going to delete both of those. And then we're going to hit that drop-down list. And we're going to go to the RS-232DF1 device because that's the cable that we're using. And once you select that, there's an Add New button. We're going to hit that. Now this is just to name your driver. It really doesn't matter what name you put in here, so we're just going to hit OK and give it the name that it populated on its own. And then here is the important stuff. So you can see that our device name's at the top, and then our COM port, that's where we've got to select COM3, because that's what we just looked in Device Manager and found. So we're going to hit COM3, and then for the device, you see right now it's on PLC-CHO. We're going to hit that drop-down box, and we're going to go to the one that says SLC-CHO/micro/panel view. That's our guy. And then the nice thing about a Micrologix is once you've got your COM port and the device selected, there's an auto configure button down at the bottom. You can click that and it will select the COM port. So right now we got an error, more than likely because we had two other drivers that we deleted right before we added this one. So we're going to hit OK, and we're going to try auto configure again. It's going to give us an error again, so hit OK. And then we're going to close out of this, so just hit the OK button. It's going to say that it failed to configure the COM port. It was already in use, probably because the other drivers we deleted were using that. So go ahead and hit OK. And then we're going to close this. And then we're going to go back into communications up top and go to configure drivers. And then we're going to select the one that, see it now, it's got a port conflict on there. That's because we created that one after deleting the other one and it didn't refresh properly. So we're going to go to configure over here and we're going to try to auto configure again. There we go. So RS links is kind of funky because if you've got drivers that you delete and then you try to create another one immediately without letting it refresh, you'll get some errors like that. Not a big deal, just close things out, open it back up, and it should work. Go ahead and hit OK now. So now we don't have any port conflicts. We're good there. We're going to hit close on that little pop-up window. And then we're going to go over here to where our ABDF1 DH485 is at, and we're going to expand that guy. And you'll see that it's probably already going to populate our device right there. There it is, and you can see it's in this window over here. So half the battle is done. We've got our communications path set up. Now we know that we can talk to the PLC. That part is good to go. Now the next part to actually get online with it is going to be a little different. So it depends on whether you have a program or not. So if you don't, like this one, we don't have a program for, we're going to open up RS links, or not links, sorry, Logix. We already did links. And we're going to just have a new blank project in here. We're going to go up to the top and go to comms. And then we're going to go to who active, go online. We're basically creating a new project file to upload from the PLC into our software. So we're going to minimize the driver that's at the top, that MGE controls. We're going to minimize that in the left pane. And then we're going to find our ABDF1 DH485. You'll see there's our PLC. You can select it in the left pane or in the right pane. Either way, it doesn't matter. And then we're going to hit OK. And it's going to say, hey, you don't have a project file. So you can do a couple of things. There is a browse button right there. If you have a project, you can browse to it and use it. We do not. So we're going to click the Create New File. And it's going to upload from the PLC into our project. And now you can see we are online with it. Now, of course, we don't have any of the descriptions because all of that is housed internally in the PLC or in the program, and we don't have that. On older stuff with Logix 500, if you don't have the project file, you won't have any tags because the PLC itself does not have enough memory to store that. Just beware. So if you create a new file, you'll have no tags. So we're going to click over here on main program, and we're going to double click on ladder 2, and you'll see that, let's go to ladder 3. You'll see that we're not going to have anything in here. I don't even know if there's a program in this, but it doesn't look like it. Nope, there's nothing in here. But even on the ladder 2, if you click back on that, you can see that we don't have any descriptions on our subroutines that it's jumping to, so just be wary of that. So the Micrologix 1000 only has one communication port, so we are done with that. We're going to move on to our 1400. And this one just has a test program that we were using for communicating between our fried panel view and our Micrologix. So we're going to go through this COM port, this one, and then the Ethernet. So we've got our cable connected to our PLC. This is our Micrologix 1400, you can see. Same COM cable, same COM port. The issue is that the communications protocol is different, even though it's the same cable, so you can see that we don't have anything showing up. We have to reconfigure our driver. So we're going to go to Communications, and then we're going to go to Configure Drivers. We're going to go back to our COM port that we already did, so it's going to be that one right there. And we're going to hit Configure. And then all we've got to do, because we know that our COM port's correct and that our driver or our device is correct, we just need to hit Auto Configure because we're connected to a new PLC, a new Micrologix. You can see that it says our auto configuration was successful, so we're going to hit OK on that. And you're going to hit Close, and then you'll see that it will populate. There's our Micrologix 1400. And we actually do have a project for this one, so we're just going to open up that project. And then within this project, what we are going to do is go to Comms, and then we're going to go to Who Active Go Online again, just so we can select the right processor. And then in this window, we're going to make sure that it populates our device. We're going to hit OK. And we are online. You can see our little spinning ladder. And we are online with our program. Now this one, we had a project, so you can see that we've got tags in it. So this one is controlled based off of push buttons on our HMI. So if I go up here, hit start, maybe, there we go. You can see that it runs our logic down here. Nifty. All right, so that is the DH485. There's the cable. Now we're going to use our DB9 cable and go in on this port. It should be relatively easy. We already have our communications port set up in RS Links, so we'll just have to go through the auto configure process again. So let's switch our cable out. So now we've got our DB9 cable plugged in on this serial port here. You can see we've got it plugged into the same cable. This is still our 9300 USB-S, and we're going to go back to RS Links over here, and we're going to go back to the same driver. We're going to go to Communications, Configure Drivers, and then in this window here, we're going to select the same ABDF1 DH485. We're going to go to Configure. And then we still have the same COM port. We still have the same device. It's still a micro. We're going to hit Auto Configure. And this COM port's going to be a little bit faster. Auto configuration successful. We're going to hit OK. Close. And then you'll see that it's already got our PLC open there. Then we're going to go back to our project file. And if you try to just go online with this, you won't be able to because the communication port changed. So you still got to go back up here, go to Comms, Who Active Go Online, and then select your processor, hit OK, and then you'll be able to go online with it. Now there is something else I want to show you on this. So we're going to go to comms go offline. There's another way to set your project path, so you don't have to do that. If you go over here to where the eye icon is, where it says controller properties, and double click on that, it'll bring up this window. And if you go to controller communications tab, there's the same spot right here. You can hit that Who Active button right there, and then it will bring up the same dialog. And then all you've got to do is select your PLC, hit OK. The only difference is on this, you've got to hit Apply, OK, and then you've got to save the project. We're going to hit OK. That's just revision notes, not important. And then you can just go comms go online. If you've got your project path set properly in links, or sorry, in the controller properties, then you can just go online with it and you don't have to go through the Who Active stuff, at least not up here. You still have to go through the Who Active when you're setting up the path and controller properties. So there's that. That is going online with it, with our USB cable, DB9 connector. Now, the one thing that you're going to have to look at is if you don't know the IP address of a Micrologix, using Ethernet, which is what we're going to talk about next, is tough if you don't know the IP address. But we've already went through the serial communications and setting that up. So while you're online with it, we can go into our channel configuration. Double click on that, and it'll bring up the properties for here. And then this is just your general communication settings. You can see that channel 0 is DF1 full duplex, channel 1 is Ethernet, channel 2 is DF1 full duplex. So we know that channel 1 is our Ethernet. So there's a tab up top we're going to click on that says channel 1. And look at that. So now we are plugged in with our Ethernet cable. You can see we've got our USB-C to Ethernet adapter plugged into our PLC directly. We're not going to go through our network switch just yet, but we will show that in a little bit. So first things first, what we're going to do is show you how to figure out which port you're plugged into or which adapter you're using. So we're going to go down here to the little Wi-Fi symbol and click on that. It might be a computer symbol depending on yours, but you're going to go to Open Network and Internet Settings. Yep. And then we're going to go down here at the bottom and go to Network and Sharing Center. And then in here, you can see which ports are active. So right there, you can see that the connection is Ethernet 4. If I unplug this, that goes away. So I like going through this way because if you don't know which adapter is which, this one automatically shows you what is being used currently. So we're going to plug that back in, close out of it, and reopen it, and it should show up. So hit the X on that. Go down to the Network and Sharing Center again, and there it is. So we're going to click on Ethernet 4 right there. We're going to go to Properties. Then we're going to double click on our Internet Protocol version 4. Double left click on that. Now you can see that we have an IP address in here. This is a static IP address that we have set because we know that our local network is 192.168.0. whatever. This Micrologix is set on 0.10. So since we want to set it on that network, we're going to leave that set like that. So normally you're going to get to your channel configuration, and if this is something that you haven't touched before, it's a new one or something that you have already had somebody else set up for you, you'll see that there's an IP address in here. You can see that this was already set up when we got here. From the factory, you'll see that DHCP is enabled and sometimes boot P is enabled. Boot P sucks, so we're not going to touch that. We're going to go over the Ethernet that's already set up. So we know that it's a 192.168.1.10, and then our subnet is 255.255. So as long as your Ethernet port is set up with an IP address, you can already talk to it. If it's not, like if you get here and let's say that DHCP is enabled and this is all grayed out, all you've got to do is uncheck this box, give it an IP address, you'll hit apply. It'll probably give you a warning and say you're going to lose communications on that COM port. If you do make any changes, so like let's see, there's DHCP. If we make any changes, you hit apply. It's going to tell you that channel 1 is going to lose communications. We're not on channel 1, so it doesn't matter. And then you can see it's grayed out. So we're going to leave DHCP off. That means we have a static IP address of this. We're going to apply again. So that is our IP address that we're going to go over. We're going to hit OK on this. And then we're actually going to save this because we were screwing around making changes. We got to make sure that our checksum registry is correct. Yes, we're going to save, upload values. And then from here, we're going to go comms, go offline. So we've got the program, we know the IP address, and now we're going to disconnect our USB cable. We are not going to use that anymore. We are going to use our Ethernet cable. We've got our adapter plugged in. We're going to plug this into our PLC directly. And then we're going to make sure that our PC is set up on the same network. So we're going to go to Open Network, and there we go. Then down here, we're going to go to Network and Sharing Center. I like going in this way because you can see what adapters are running. So you can see that our Wi-Fi adapter is right up top, and then that our physical connection, which is this guy right here, is already showing up. So we're going to click on it. We're going to go to our properties, and then we're going to go to Internet Protocol version 4. Double click on that, and you can see that it's set on DHCP enable, which means obtain an IP address automatically. We're going to click on the use the following IP address, and we're going to type in this box here, the 192.168.1, and our PLC, if you guys remember, you can actually look on the display, but our PLC is set on, let's go here, we're going to go to Ethernet config, status, 192.168.1.10. So that's the address of this PLC. We cannot have our computer on the same IP address. It has to be different. So we're going to go at 100 instead of 10. Then if you hit the tab key, it will populate your subnet mask, and that will work just fine. We're going to hit OK, OK, close. You can close this, and then on here, we're going to create an Ethernet adapter. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So you're going to go to Communications, Configure Drivers, and we're going to, on the drop-down box, we're going to hit that, and there's two options. There's an Ethernet Devices and an Ethernet IP driver. Ethernet Devices requires you to tell it what IP addresses to search for. Ethernet IP will search for anything on your network. So we're going to do the easier one, the Ethernet IP driver. And then we're going to hit Add New. We don't care what the name is, so we're just going to hit OK. And then we're going to select our driver. And that's, you can see the IP address that we just set, 192.168.1.100. So we're going to select that guy, hit OK. And then we know that our AB Ethernet IP3 is the one we just set up. Go ahead and hit close on that window. Over here, we're going to select our AB Ethernet IP3 and expand it. And it has already found our Micrologix on the network. Now we can minimize this now that we have made sure that we have comms with it. And we can go back to our PLC and go to comms who active. Go online. Now we have to tell it which one we want to use. So before we had our ABDF1. That one's not going to work. So we're going to minimize that. We're going to expand our AB Ethernet IP3. There's our PLC. Select it, hit OK. And boom, we are online. Now we're going to hit the save disk, just so that it saves the communication protocol that we have selected. Hit OK. And then it's going to ask if you want to upload all of the tags and values. Yes, we do. There we go. We'll have more videos to come in the future about Micrologix here really soon. This was the first part in our Micrologix training course that we're going to do, so stay tuned for more.